Whoa, 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 whoa. All right. It's Wednesday. Let's just go this way. Wednesday, starting off on Michelson in the city of Irvine. Welcome to the Orange County Commuter Channel. Going strong since August 2023. Over 10,500 miles. On these commutes. 4 different bikes, 2 electric, 1 gravel bike, 1 beach cruiser. All right, so this morning was it was about 43 or 44, something like that. I don't know. I think it said 45 or 47, I don't know, some inaccurate number, and we'll just say 45, and then I was late. I wasn't late for work, but we had an emergency, so I had to leave in haste. I got up at 5 and I found out something was going on that I had to get here for. So I was ready. I was out the door by 5:40, which 40 minutes sounds like a long time, but it takes a long time to get ready in the morning for me. When you're riding a bike and you can't just throw on 1 jacket, you got to throw on like 4. But in my haste, I did leave 1 jacket behind, which ended up making a huge difference. I was frozen. So, got out of the house at 5:40, and actually the ride ended up, I even stopped at the store, and I was only going like 20 miles an hour, but I had a route in my head that I felt like was going to be fast. So even though I only went at the beginning of the ride, I only went about 20 miles an hour because it was too cold for me to go faster. I ended up so the way this bike works is in pedal assist 4, if I pedal, I can only go 4 miles an hour. So by unlocking the bike, you essentially eliminate 20 miles per hour while you're pedaling effect, and that 20 miles an hour turns to 28. So you don't have anything that you can when you're pedaling. It's either 15 miles an hour or 28 or 25 when the battery's low. So that's the situation I was in. Like, I didn't want to go 28 because it was too cold, and I didn't want to go 15, but I wanted to pedal because I felt like pedaling would generate a little bit of heat. So I finally, after I think about 5.5 miles of going 20 miles an hour, I finally just decided to deal with it. And so I think from around Main Street in Tustin, I started pedaling in pedal assist 5. Maybe it was on Myrtle in Tustin. And either the temperature went up or my body started generating a little bit of heat, and then within a mile or 2 it became tolerable. But today, what I'm getting at is right now it's 76. And the only reason why I have a shirt on, like a long sleeve on, is not because of the temperature. It's because I ran out of room to stuff my all my long sleeve shirts into. So my backpack is full. Go this way. I guess we could have went to look at cars. Maybe we'll go back. Let's go back and look at cars real quick. Speaking of cars, I have one behind me. He's got no blinker. Neither do I, so I'm not complaining. You can't break all the rules and then complain when other people break them. But like I always say, I'm not in a 3,000 pound killing machine. I'm on a 65, 70 pound plus me 180 pound. I'm on a 250 pound mangling machine. I would just probably mangle somebody. The mangler. Got security here. Is he gonna exercise his security privileges? All right, let's go see what kind of cars we're dealing with over here. A few G-Wagons. Look at that. They must be like a car club. So you got all the matte AMG, matte AMG, matte AMG. Yeah, they must be a crew. The AMG crew. So I don't think I have any Main Street rides home this week. So we're gonna head in that direction. We're actually on Main Street now. Look at that. Uncle Jesse. There goes Uncle Jesse right there. I watched a lot of Duke boys growing up. Beautiful day. Beautiful day to go on a bike ride. Not too many days that aren't a good day to go on a bike ride in Southern California. I'm turning right, turn. And I do not know, I've only been down this route one time. Early in the morning, because it ends up out on MacArthur. And MacArthur is, oh shoot, there's no stop sign there. That was bad. I had to pay attention. I was looking at the 55 freeway. Yeah, there's really no, in the afternoons, MacArthur is just, there's not really a safe way to go. This is pretty nice right here. I like this. Maybe I have been on this recently. No, I don't think so. I think it just looks like, looks familiar. Let's cut through here. Oh, look at this. What's back here? Let's see. I'm not going to go down there right now. But I want to see if it makes it out. I don't want to really, so that fence, I would have made it that at least through the back of this building. It's hard to say how far I would have made it without actually going on it. So yeah, we're gonna end up on MacArthur. Which is going to present its own challenges. There's not a bike lane, of course, but at least we have a light, which is will be beneficial. But I'm not really too sure how to navigate this move right here. So, is there a crosswalk? No. So no pedestrians, no bikes, tons of traffic. We are gonna do this. We're gonna, this looks like we can have pedestrians on this side. So let's entertain all my haters that give me grief for riding on sidewalks. And we're gonna take the sidewalk. So, in case, in my opinion, an e-bike is a trans-medium vehicle designed for boardwalks, sidewalks, streets, fields, trails, rain, trans terrain. So the last time I went on this side, there wasn't a sidewalk, which has probably been about a year ago. So I'm not really too sure like what's going on with this. we're just gonna have to brave the pathway. So we could probably go. It's hard for me to, yeah, I can't tell. I'll just wait for the walk sign. So the problem is, okay, so we're gonna go here and then we're gonna go across the street and then it looks like they have a sidewalk. So this is much better. Usually I'm in the street the whole way. Is what I would normally do. I wouldn't do all this. I wouldn't be in pedestrian mode. I would be in some other mode. But, you know, whatever.
Wait.
Guy's gonna make a U-turn right there. Straight out of, where's he from? Minnesota? That was called the Minnesota U-turn.
Wait.
The Minnesota Special. All right, so we're gonna have to keep our eyes open for anything that could puncture my tires going through this construction zone. So concrete frame work, right, are these wooden stakes equal nails and staples. Looks like they're using wire ties, so wire ties are just as bad. Truck anxious to turn at the stop sign, buddy. So I couldn't go on the trail because that gas truck. I guess if you drive a gas truck, you don't need to stop at stop signs. You can kind of just roll through them. It's all right. All right, I forgive you. So here's the where's this gas guy? Here's the gas guy. I got your vehicle number, license plate number, I got it all. Here's this shameful display of our flags at a state building. Ooh, let's do this sidewalk. This looks kind of cool. That's a lot of work just to end up on Main Street, but it was something new. which was my objective. So riding home, I came down this, I took this route yesterday actually, but I didn't like the video, so I deleted it. I didn't even put it on the other channel. But I did save a little bit of the footage, so right at this section right here, there was a helicopter flying over, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. Traffic was pretty backed up, and it ended up being there was police on the left side of the street here, right at 7-Eleven, and then there were police blocking this intersection, so you couldn't get through the intersection. And they're arresting a guy, a male Caucasian, and he had 2 massive bags of recyclables, but he didn't look like. I mean, I'm sure he was homeless, but he didn't really look homeless. Well, I guess he did. I'll have to look at the footage again. But anyway, so it was kind of weird that, like, what could he possibly have done to warrant? So there was, I believe, 2 police cars right here. I think there were some police cars over. There was probably a total of 6 police cars, and then when I continued on Main, another cop car came. So it was, I didn't look at the news to see like what happened. Probably wasn't even on the news. Yeah, well, for like once in my life, if I ever figure out how to make good content, and get enough views and enough subscribers to get to review e-bikes, you know, and I'm making a little bit of money from YouTube, I really look forward to the day where I can be riding home from work, and I see the same people often, like commuting on their bikes, and a lot of times their bikes aren't, they're probably happy with the bike, but they would probably like an e-bike or something. They probably can't afford one. I look forward to a day where I can get an e-bike, put 1,000 miles on it or whatever I decide to do for the bike. This would be a bike review channel at that point. And then I can give them my bike. I can say, hey man, you want an e-bike? And if they do, that's funny, bro. That guy thought that was funny to pretend he was gonna pull out. Anyway, so yeah, I look, and if he wants the bike, I can, or he or she wants the bike, I'll give him the bike, and then I'll take their bike. All right, so we're coming up to St. Gertrude. So I really don't want to go through the neighborhood over here. It would be fast. I'm thinking Broadway. But I think I don't really want to be on Main Street. Yeah, let's go this way. Yeah, let's just go through the neighborhood. Well, yeah, it's a nice day. I want to, want to be able to have a nice pace without a lot of without too much chaos. So I think that this residential route will provide that. Maybe. So I think I'm gonna lock the suspension on this bike. I was riding my bike around last night I rode to the grocery store and I locked my suspension. Oh, I gotta pull up on it. Oh, maybe it won't lock. I'll have to stop. And the bike is amazing how stable the bike is without the suspension engaged. And it makes a huge difference too when you're pedaling. This guy's got, what's he got? Some Del Taco? Won't lock. So this bike is a trip because it's actually built pretty good. If you look at the welds, I'll have to show in another video. But the frame, the hinge, like all the parts are pretty good. I'd be curious, they make I don't know what the name, they make another model of this that has a dual crown fork and hydraulic brakes, and I forget what other, it has a massive headlight on it. I'd be curious about that bike because I actually think that these are built Ford tough. Like I've looked at other bikes and looked at the welds. A lot of times there's just like a lot of splatter and the welds don't look very good and the metal looks really thin. This bike, I don't know, it's pretty solid. So we're sticking with the 60K, or I mean 60 frames, 4K this week. So every video this week, even in the morning, has been 4K 60 frames. So that's why I'm doing these weird random slow motion shots, not for any other reason, but to like kind of trip out on the quality of slow motion. I'm not really trying to capture that situation for any specific reason. I'm just I just like to see what the 60 frames slow motion shots look like. To me, they look pretty cool. Like the quality is. So most people probably know this, but the benefits of the 60 frames per second is, you know, you have more of a smooth, buttery. That's a lame way to describe it, buttery. You have more. Your footage looks smoother. You have more frames to work with. So, and then when you if you're using 30 frames per second and you want to do a slow motion shot and you cut that in half, that means your slow motion shot quality is 15 frames per second. So it's half. So when you do slow motion in 60 frames per second, your slow motion shots are 30 frame per second quality. That's why when you do like mountain bike shots where you really like the stuff that, like, Sam Pilgrim is really big on slow motion shots where he's trying to catch like his steezy like jumps and stuff like that. He'll have his brother film in 120 frames. So then the slow motion shots are 60 frames per second, which looks really like crisp and nice and defined and sharp throughout the whole shot. But then you're processing twice as many, you know, that many more frames, so it just makes everything take a lot longer. So probably for the first 6 months of making videos, I used the John Hicks model, which was everything was in 60 frames. But in low light situations, it's your footage is going to be a little darker because your sensor is, I guess it would be the sensor, your lens. I don't know how it works. I don't know that much about this kind of stuff. This is just kind of what I've gathered along the way. I'm not like a technical person. I've only been doing this since August. I had never had a camera in my life besides like my cell phone. So I'm just kind of, I'm sure there's people that know, that watch this channel that know way more than I do. But this is just stuff that I've heard and I've kind of experienced because I do film a lot. But yeah, so if you're doing 60 frames a second, it's not going to let it's not going to let as much light into the sensor. And so that's why like the DJI Action 5 is so badass, because it's gonna, you can you can use the low light enhancement even in 60 frames, which I think I talked about that the other morning on my ride to work, but I can't remember where I published that video, so. But if you have the time and you have like the storage space, you know, like doing 60 is pretty cool. This is where I got doored, right here. You could probably still see my blood on the ground. I think it was right here. Had OC commuter leaking. So we'll do a nice repetitive route, which is going to be different than the last time I did this route, because the last time I did this route, it was overcast. So there's the variation that I can offer today. Really a lot to look out for on this street. It's a Civic Center Drive. The express route. There's that huge bump I hit the other day. I forgot about it. Nice rolling stop. Go through Logan. Let's go down this little one-way street for a change. Going over the 5, or I mean the 20. Is this the 5? Yeah, this is the 5. Going over the 5 freeway. Oh man, I just got hit by a bug. As long as it didn't land on my shirt. So I've had the Ramones stuck in my head. So I don't know what years I was listening to the Ramones. And probably when I was pretty young, probably 16 or 17. I probably started listening. I had a cassette tape, Ramones Mania. I really liked it a lot. But I listened to it so much, I got burned out on it, and I honestly haven't really listened to it. I haven't like sought it out since. But one of their songs, I think it was Bonzo Goes to Bitburg, got in my head the other day. And then so on my YouTube feed, that song Howling at the Moon, Sha La 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 La, whatever, that song is in my head right now. They have a few songs like that, like Bonzo Goes to Bitburg, Howling at the Moon. I don't know how to describe like why, like that type of song and like why it's so good. But there's definitely something about it. It's like, I guess maybe like what you would consider a sing-along song, I guess. Like there's maybe it just kind of reminds me of my youth and that kind of that, you know, before you really develop a serious conscience and you have that kind of like that continuous feeling of freedom where you're just out and about and hanging out with friends and being on skateboards and staying up all night and just, yeah. I think that's probably what it reminds me of. And there's another band that has some songs like that that I listen to every once in a while, like the Misfits. So the Misfits have a lot, even though they're kind of like that horror punk, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it, but they have some good songs like that, like Skulls and Night of the Living Dead. I mean, basically all of Legacy of Brutality. Yeah, I can remember when I first listened to the Misfits. So I had started listening to Danzig, and how did I first hear about Danzig? I don't remember who introduced me to Danzig, but I started listening to Danzig 2 Lucifuge first. Maybe I saw him on like Headbangers Ball or something like that. But there was a guy when I was a freshman in high school that was from a smaller town than the town I was from at that time, which I was from Terabella. And I think I had just moved to Porterville, but he had been from a town called Ducor. And his dad drove a church van out in the country, and I would ride with his dad to church. His dad would come pick us up, and what's up, guys? So anyway, that's kind of how I knew him. And then when I played sports, he went to a private school, or it wasn't a private school, it was a public school, but it was a small town school like ours was out in Ducourt. So I think he played sports there, so he was just vaguely familiar. Then we had mutual friends. Anyway, so he was an upperclassman, and he was gonna give me a ride to ride home, even though I lived really close to the high school. I had him in one of my classes. I think it was, I don't know what it was. I seemed to think it was an algebra class or something, or geometry. It was a geometry class. Anyway, so he had this little car. I can't remember what type of car, what you call it. It's like a little economy car, but it was like kind of like a station wagon too. And his name's David. He's actually a super cool dude. I ended up being roommates with him. Like, I rented a room from him like years and years later, you know. But he's a good dude. Probably one of the coolest people I've met, you know. Anyway, so he gave me a ride home from school just out of the blue, and he was listening to the Misfits. And then that's when I made that association between the Misfits and Danzig. So that's probably why, you know, some of their songs have like so much nostalgia to me, you know. I spent, it was an interesting time in my life. I had so much freedom. I had so much freedom my whole life. But, you know, I'd grown up in the country and then moved to town. We just called it town. So I think there was probably only like 40,000 people in Porterville at that time. But we were living in our first apartment. I lived with my mom. My dad stayed in Terabella with the house. And so did my brother, my older brother. And I was riding skateboards back then. And so I finally got to what made me decide to go with my mom. It had nothing to do with my parents. It was I wanted to be in town so I could skate. And she would work all day, and then she would get home, and I don't even think she would come home. She would go spend her time at the bowling alley till like very late at night, every night. And like every night, seven days a week. So she was never home. She was home long enough to sleep, get ready, go to work, and then go to the bar. So yeah, I mean, I just did whatever I wanted. I'd go by the bowling alley and get money if I needed it, and just, you know, I'd walk to school, I'd walk home from school, meet up with friends. I started meeting people in the neighborhood. I met 3 different people, like within probably the first week, that skateboarded. And 2 of the dudes lived pretty close to me, and they were really good. So I was anxious to kind of meet them, but they ended up being really cool. Like when you see somebody that skates as good as these guys did, I mean, these guys were really good. And they were, you don't know how you're going to be received, and they were cool. So I started skateboarding with those guys, and then met my other friend, a different David, and he lived on the kind of like what we would call the west side of town, you know, kind of where people had a little more not rich, but just like more money than us, you know. And he was super cool, and he became my best friend. And then, or one of my best friends. I have a lot of best friends. But, so that music just kind of takes me back to those days. Running amok. But in those apartments were pretty relaxed. Like, they were not in a bad area at all. But then my mom had a friend that she hung out at the bar with, and he owned some apartments more in the central. That was still the central part of Porterville. But these apartments were just like a couple blocks from downtown. Like, well, they were downtown, but they were like 2 blocks from Main Street in a pretty bad neighborhood. But I'm sure they were cheaper, you know. But it made life interesting for me. I didn't have an issue with it, you know. I had already been used to, like, you know, being that kid that didn't, you know, whose family didn't quite have as much money as other families, you know. But not bad though, not like I had nice clothes, and well, I don't know about nice, but back then it's like it got popular to you know, I started buying clothes from thrift stores. You know, that was just like the style that I kind of just started, I just adopted. I always liked like button-up shirts, like those kind of plaid looking shirts, button-up shirts, Pendletons, baggy jeans, baggy 501s. So really the only thing I had to spend a lot of money on was shoes. So you buy, as long as you have a decent pair of shoes and a decent hat, and then nothing else really mattered, because you just buy these funky shirts and pants at the Salvation Army. That's where I shopped, and I lived right down the road from Salvation Army, so that's where I used to get all my clothes. Then of course, like, you know, I wouldn't want my mom to spend money on clothes. I would like, if I asked her for something, I'd want it to be for skateboarding, you know, shoes and skateboards. All right, this camera's gonna die. So thanks for watching my video. I appreciate it. This ride took a little longer than I thought it would, but I think it's been a pretty nice ride. It's a beautiful day. So I'm gonna keep talking until it dies. So we're gonna be running into lots of insects and bees pretty soon as we near spring. So first day of spring's tomorrow. So the weather's appropriate. I think this is what you expect March 19th to be like in SoCal. Check that out. Somebody stole somebody's bike and threw it in the canal. been down in there rusting. Rest in peace. All right, we'll catch you on the next Orange County Commuter video.